Everyone. Thank you for being here with us this morning. And um, just a couple things before we get started. If you can, I would like to see who all is with us this morning. So if you can go ahead and pop your name into the chat and tell us where you're coming from, and then we can get started. Let's see how many guests are here with us this morning. And as you do that, I want to introduce myself. I am Nancy Sabino. I am the president of the board for Nerdy Girl Success. I am also the CEO and co-founder of Sabino CompTech, which is an IT firm in Katy, Texas. And so I am here with these three lovely ladies. And we're going to be talking about a subject that affects us all, whether we want it to or not. And so that's one of the reasons why I am so grateful that you guys are here with us, because I'm hoping that you will learn a lot through this, especially from what these ladies have to say. So the topic for today is failure is an option. And we'll get started now. Is there, I'm not seeing anyone. There we go. Good morning. We've got Jocelyn from LA. We've got Snehee, I hope I said that right, from New Jersey. Good morning. All right, and so since we're starting off with presentations and introductions, we've got Loka, I hope I said that correctly, from Houston. Awesome. Okay, so good morning, ladies. And we are going to start off with Chaun. Please, if you will go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll go clockwise.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Chaun Vaughn, and I am the owner of Vaughn Media, which is a leadership training and development company. I get to work with leaders and CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and help them with reducing employee turnover, getting that employee buy-in and engagement, and fostering that healthy multi-generational workforce. And I also own a cosmetic line company with my sister, Television by Chaun and me. So it's nice to meet you guys.
Brandi?
Yes, good morning. It's really nice to be on here at 10 a.m. in Houston, probably earlier if you're in LA. I'm commending you, Jocelyn, at 8 o'clock in the morning on with this. But it's Nancy say Brandi Harleaux. I'm the Chief Operations Officer of a local metal recycling facility here in Houston called South Post Oak Recycling Center. 26 years in business, a second generation owned business. And essentially I tell people we pay cash for recycling trash. So essentially I'm dealing with metal all day, but I am truly passionate about women and young women. And I'm passionate about helping people or motivating them to become the best version of themselves. And so when asked to do this, I was really honored, and I look forward to the dialogue today.
Snehee?
Everyone, good morning. I am Snehee Chaplot, the founder and CEO of The Food Shop. We are a food manufacturing company. In a nutshell, we consider ourselves as world leaders in innovation. My background is I'm a food safety scientist by training, so I started my career with the big guns like Tyson Foods, Kraft Heinz, Nestle R&D, in different roles. And then I started working with startups around 5 years ago. A little after that. And 5 years ago, I decided to start my own company out of a compulsion. I had a medical situation which forced me into thinking, okay, you can no longer do a full-time job. So what are you going to do? Because sitting at home is not an option. So that's how this whole company was started. And as of today, we have two product lines. We export one product line, which is a wholesale product line for South Asian milk solids. to South Asia and Middle East. And the other product line is my favorite product line. It's ice creams. It's Mama Ice Creams. It's a new line of frozen desserts. And we launched this last year in August in Houston, Texas. I am from Houston, Texas. And since then, we are into 5 retail grocery stores and looking to keep growing. And I work with a bunch of wonderful ladies and gentlemen all around the country and around the world in some aspects. So, yeah, here to share this dialogue with these wonderful ladies. First of all, thank you so much for considering me. It's very humbling as well as an honor to actually be at this platform, because this platform is super powerful. Considering how many less kids are aware about my field, and I'm assuming even for Brandi, even for your field, I want to use this opportunity to kind of, open this world up to them to say, hey guys, we are still here. We are here to support. Please join us. Please do come and, learn about what we do. So we have more folks in this field. So yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, all three of you, for being here and sharing with us today. And so now let's dive in, if we will. So the topic is failure is an option. And Chaun, let me start with you. How do you define failure?
Well, I'll start off by saying how people kind of view failure is it being the opposite of success, right? It's when you don't achieve a specific task or goal or anything that you set out to accomplish. But for me, failure is actually synonymous with success. And I say that because failure is kind of like a teacher, because once you fail, it gives you an inside look into what went well, what went wrong, and then what you can actually do to actually improve on that to catapult you to the success that you are looking for. So failure is actually is synonymous with success to me, and that's how I view that.
Oh, that's powerful, and absolutely, I feel like that's 100% true, and definitely a great way to look at it. Brandi, how do you recover from failure?
I like that question, and I think that there's a many ways to look at it. And I was thinking about the audience, and I was thinking about potential high school students or even younger women. And I'll give an example or a story. I remember being in high school. I went to Lamar High School here in Houston, and I was on the student council at that time, and I was also very driven to. I cheered at the University of Houston. And it had been traditional preceding me for the school to have a homecoming dance. And there was something that happened a couple of years before my junior year, and they stopped hosting this homecoming dance. And so I was dead set on trying to rally the troops and get buy-in and get support from people to do this homecoming dance. And so planned it, went out and talked to people, talked to the principal. The principal said, you could do it if you get enough, if you sell so many tickets, essentially. Fast forward, it's junior year and up until like the deadline, just trying to work with the school, students in the school to get enough tickets sold and pre-sold to do it. Well, you come to find out that by that deadline, we weren't able to sell enough tickets, and went to the principal, and he said, I'll give you a couple more days if you need a couple more days. And so gave me a couple more days. We weren't able to sell it. And that was probably one of my first remembrances of, i.e. failure. I was not able, as Chaun say, to achieve what I was initially setting out to achieve. But that was also a time, and so then what happened there, and then how did I recover from it? So what happened was a couple things. I had really good people around me, when I failed, there was a great support system that said, it's all right, you could try again. There were also other people who were like, okay, well, what about next year? So there's this whole other thought of, well, what's next, or can you do this again? And so I'm just kind of tying that to say, so fast forward a year later, and you'll find this theme, and I find it through my life, is that sometimes no or failure can mean not right now, or it can mean what else, or there might be something better. And so that takes me, you said, how do you recover from it? I think there's a couple things. I think it is important to have a good group of people around you just in your life. You want people who cheer you on. You want people who encourage you. Of course, you don't want a life full of naysayers around you. The second thing that I would say is this, what helps me recover is just acceptance. There's this psychological piece of knowing that I'm not a failure or I'm not a bad person or, my life is not over, because I did not achieve or at this time that. So, and then with acceptance, there comes this piece of personal forgiveness. And I wanted to call those two things out too, because I think a lot of time, and I think Chaun is spot on. We talk about you recover because you use it as a time to learn from something, and you absolutely can. That's the third piece that I would say is I always look at stuff and say, okay, so what can I learn from this? I'm a big believer. Napoleon Hill said there's a seed of opportunity in every setback. Okay. But that's also a mindset. You have to choose to say, when I fail or when I don't achieve what I set out to, how can I look at this? Will I look at this and be like, man, I'll never try that again? I'll never do something again. Or will I look at it and say, okay, I'm going to get something from it? So my three would be acceptance and forgiveness, making sure that you surround yourself with good people there, and then looking for the learning. And those allow you to say, how do I recover?
Oh, that was also powerful. You ladies are amazing. And y'all have so much to offer and to give. So thank you very much for that. Um, Snehee, how do you support others in talking about, surrounding yourself with a group of people that can help you through failure? How do you support others through what they see as their failures?
I'll give an example before I answer this question as to how I learned to Brandi's point and to Chaun's point, like how do you accept failure or what is failure to you? It's a very personal thing. So how do you view it? Um, Last year, like I was mentioning in my introduction, we export products to South Asia and Middle East, and for all those wonderful kids and everyone over here, just to give you an idea, working with South Asian countries, especially Asian countries, it's not as straightforward as working in America, just for various reasons. The whole protocols are different, and the kind of management styles, the government styles are totally different. Um, and I was aware of it because I come from there. I'm born and brought up in Bahrain. I'm an Indian, so I should technically be aware of it. Well, I am, but I still don't live there, and I don't live and breathe the system. So um, I don't want to say I underestimated the system, but I followed the book. And everything that was required from me to export a container worthy of product, uh, I did everything. I got my licenses, I got my permits, I got all the paperwork aligned, I got all the product details, I got all the right people in place, or so I thought. Everything. But and my the cool part for any entrepreneur is your first venture. When you are doing it for the first time, you're actually making history for yourself. So it's a huge moment for everyone. So as soon as my container lands in India, I'm like, yes, the first thing is done. Then I'm waiting for the container to get released, and the container, unfortunately, or for various reasons, did not get released. And the sad part for me, even further, was before my container actually landed in India, I had sold it out to all the customers because I already had customers over there. So, as an entrepreneur, when this is your first sale, you take it as a big hit that you're not able to, you're. I mean, if I think everyone in this panel and every who is a business person will believe that when you make a sale or when you have made the product, you've gotten the money for your sale, everything is going perfectly as per the plan, but the last step where you're supposed to make the delivery of the goods to the customer is not happening. It's, I think, the biggest knife in your heart kind of a situation. You can't you don't take it well. I don't think if anyone takes it well, I think there is an issue over there. Let me just be very clear. um, you know uh, it's not easy to accept that, and that's what happened to me. for various reasons, because of customs. And at that time, India and US were having a trade war regarding dairy and a few more things. A number of them. If I go over the list, I couldn't get the container released. And at the same time, it was costing me a lot to keep the container in India, in something called something similar, like, how we have a no man's land. Consider something similar like that in the in the custom side of things as well. So I had to make a very quick decision as to what to do, like, get it out of the country, get it destroyed it in the country, or, just find new buyers in different parts of the world. So, as a true entrepreneur, not giving up, I was like, okay, I'm going to move this container out and try to find some other buyers for it. So, that's what I did. I got it out of the country and I moved it to Middle East in the hopes that I'll find buyers. And I slowly learned during that process that getting a container into a country is easy, but getting it out is definitely not easy, because I don't know why. I just don't know why. You would think that you don't want it, fine, give it back to me. But no, it really doesn't work like that. And secondly, the other important thing is, making that one decision that I am still going to stick to my guns. I'm still going to make a sale, no matter what. I'm going to try till the end, till all my doors are closed in my eyes. I'm still going to keep doing it. I did that. And it cost me a lot. Don't get me wrong, guys. It did. And I knew that I was not going to make any money on it. But the important thing for me was to make that sale, because if I didn't make that sale, I would see that as a complete, like a wasted exercise. And that's what I did. I tried making the sale on it in a different country using a different platform. Why do I view this as a huge failure for me on the first phase is because I learned something over there. I learned that going by the books in these countries was not easy, and the people I thought who had my back didn't really have my back. So I don't consider it as a failure. I consider it as a really strong foundational learning point, that what comes on your face is not really what it is. You have to learn how to ge- swim through these waters, have a very calm mind and a head, and also figure out how to, people who are around us, who are helping you, how to keep them motivated to keep moving forward. So to answer Sabine's question, what did I really, or sorry, Nancy's question, my bad. Uh, how, how, how do I what did I really do? How did I take this information and help others? So now, guess what? I am actually the SME on exports and imports in South Asia on what to do and what not to do. Uh, so what I ended up doing was, I had a talk in Houston, by an organization. It's called FU Nights, and I had to give a talk about what was my situation and what really went wrong and what did I learn out of it. And through when I was giving that talk, I saw that there were like at least 8 or 9 people in the audience over there who were in similar situations. So I kind of gauged them and told them, okay, guys, like these are the checklists that I had. These were the people I worked with. These were the things that I did. These were the folks in the government who helped. And by the way, contrary to what people think, the US government actually stands with you. They were literally on phone calls with me for an hour, helping me out through these custom issues and labeling issues and everything while I was stuck doing the stuff in India. So, yes, they do work and help out. I think building that community and giving that confidence to people that, yeah, this was a big setback for me, but this is what I learned out of it, and this is what I want to share with you, and this is what you should remember when you want to work somewhere. So it's not like a warning sign, or it's not like a statutory warning sign. It's more about, guys, be wise. Don't make the mistakes I made, because it's going to cost you heavy. These are Make sure you do this XYZ definitely before you consider getting into those markets. So that is the way I decided that anything that I feel that didn't work out for me or was not in the plans, or what I thought would be a straight shooter didn't really work out as a straight shooter. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to share it with as many people as I want. or rather who would like to learn about it, and share their information, because who knows, if I could help even one person not make that mistake, I think I've served my purpose.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so to kind of take all of that in, and I'm trying to soak everything that you've said, and it's so true how failures aren't just learning lessons, but then they're also wins for other people that we can help and
Yeah.
support with. That I definitely agree with that. So I'm curious. We've talked about how failure has been or are learning lessons for ourselves, for others, having people to encourage us through that, and being able to take that in, think about it a little bit differently, seeing them in different ways. And so I'm curious now, Chaun, has your opinion of failure changed over time? And if so, what led to that evolution? Was it
Well,
always like a learning lesson for you, or was it, did it take you a little bit to get there?
so I'll say this. I failed a whole lot. So it's kind of, I've been learning a lot of things as I've gone through this process. But for the most part, I learned about failure back in high school because for me in K through 8, everything was easy. I was the girl who made all the A's. I was all the extracurricular activities. It was just great. Then I get over to high school, and my ultimate goal, my mom was valedictorian when she graduated high school. So my ultimate goal was to do that, right? And guess what? Learned really quickly that high school was completely different than K through 8. And so when I look at that, and even the classes, like I didn't have to study in K through 8 because it just came really easy. But now I'm in a place where I have to put a little bit more effort into what I'm doing. And even though I'm putting that effort in, am I making the grades that I am used to making? No, it was a lot more difficult. So it was at that point that I learned that, okay, I am not doing as well as I used to do. And I would beat myself up about that. And this goes back to what you said, Brandi, about having that support around you. It was my mother who actually gave me a different perspective on that. And it was one quote that she would always say, and Brandi, you kind of said this, but if at first you don't succeed, try again. And I keep that in my mind, even through failures that I go through even today. I utilize that plays over and over in my head. And even in that saying, it's not one try. They say try a couple of times. So just because I put forth the effort and I fail, and then I try again and put forth the effort, and I could possibly fail again because maybe I didn't learn everything that I needed to learn, I still have the opportunity to continue to try to reach that success. If I want to, like Brandi said, I have to make up in my mind that this is something that I am really wanting to do. Now, I will tell you, I didn't become valedictorian. But I feel like what I accomplished was great for me. So being in the top 15% was great for me. And that was good. But what I learned in high school, I was able to take that to college. And now my study habits have improved because everything wasn't as easy for me. So those were still those learning little tidbits that I could take and then improve myself as I keep moving forward. So I feel like my view of failure has been kind of ingrained into my brain since high school, but I still I failed a lot, and I'm glad that I'm able to. And even though, Snehee, you said if people don't get upset about failing, I guess when you fail a lot, it could be, oh, that's a failure. Okay, I'm not going to stress myself this time because I know that now I can actually go back and look at this and take me to the next level. I can fail and be okay with it, and but put in that hard work. So
Yeah. Oh man, that is so true. Where again, it goes back to those learning lessons, and I think that that's a theme that is following this discussion here. Is that you can either see it as what it is, as failure, or you can see it as an opportunity to learn, to grow from it, and to keep going. And that's I think one of the differences that you all keep mentioning is the mindset of, are you going to keep going? And so, Brandi, do you plan for failure? Do you plan for success? Or do you plan
That's
for
a good question,
both?
Nancy. And I can't tell you early, as a younger woman, I was that methodical about it, or I thought about it like that, and again, just trying to think about who's on the call and who's listening, and I'm just thinking, I keep going, I can talk about where I am now as a business professional, and as an owner of a company. And then I'll go back to talk about just kind of what it was like when I was younger. So I know now, in business, planning is kind of what they say, half the battle, right? So planning is half the battle. And so you do want to have some preparation or plan for success. And then there's also just this what if it doesn't work, and so planning for failure to me looks like, risk and reward, with everything, whatever decision we make in life, every decision we make in life, you're gonna be getting something and leaving something behind. And so it's being clear on that. It's like, and even the best things, if you're going after and you want to be in the best college, or you want to be the valedictorian, well, that comes at a price, and so knowing those things, so even really good things could come at some sacrifice. So I don't know if Chaun was able to spend as much time with her friends, or do as many extracurricular activities. When you still look at it, you say the things. So that's one thing. But planning for failure is also, over time, I've gotten to the point where, again, just internally accepting and saying, this is what I want. This is what I'm going after. And I liked how Snehee said, just that hunger and that drive, those things will equip me to plan for my success. But also there's this piece of me that's like, if this doesn't work out, again, the planning for failure, what is my plan B? What is my plan B? So what does that look like? Okay. So let's just say, if you're interested, I don't care how old you are, if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, or you're looking to start a new venture, to me, planning for failure or planning for a learning or a setback, to me, would be creating an extra cush fund, a financial cush fund, an extra month or 2 months that would allow you to kind of rebound, position yourself for a better rebound should a quote unquote failure or setback happen. Right. So that's a way that you can plan for the future, or plan for failure. So it's both. And so also part of that preparation, I did some quick research, and I was looking at women, and I was looking at some research in Inc. magazine, and they were talking about how in general, women and young girls they're much higher risk takers at a younger age, because there's not, presumably as much to lose. And I think that that's powerful, but I think we can continue to be like that. But then I read something else, which I thought was really interesting as we talk, because we're going to talk about planning for success and planning for failures in a very logical way. What's the risks versus what's the reward? What are the pros versus what are the cons? We're going to all talk about that. But then there's this underlying thing that I've seen in people, and I hate it's more prevalent in women and what we would call implicit fears. So in general, for some girls or for some women, there's this general sense of, if I fail, then I will be rejected. If I fail, then I will have disapproval. And that is a very real thing to address in terms of planning for your failure. So, and how do you plan for your failure, even just as much as planning for your success? Again, it's getting into this acceptance mindset and not associating your failure with the definition of who you are. So essentially saying, if I fail, it doesn't define me. If I fail, it's not about me getting somebody's disapproval or me being rejected. If anything, if I fail, I accept myself. I love myself, and I love myself to try again. So anyway, in that question, I wanted to be able to address both, because I was noticing it as I talk to people that I think as women, as young girls, we don't have a problem sometimes going forward, but there's this implicit fear that's in us that not necessarily boys or men face, because there's not the same sense of I'll be rejected or there's disapproval for me taking this jump. So, allergies today.
I love
almost.
That's very true. Extremely true.
Yeah, that's one of those things where we have to remind ourselves that we are not our mistakes or our failures. Almost taking our identities away from that and just detaching from that sense of I am my failures, because that is not
Yes,
true.
yes.
I am the lessons in those failures, and I am capable of trying again. So
And
that,
you, if I can interject, I'm sorry.
no, go
Even
for it.
that one piece right there, even if you don't have that mentality right now,
Yes.
that's something that you have to put into
Yeah.
practice. You have to continue to work on yourself, because just I don't want to be defined by my failures, but the first time it happens, I am really going to beat myself up. But that's when you're going to have to consistently talk to yourself and make sure that you know this is not who I am. I know who I am, and
Yes.
that's something
Yes.
that's like those daily affirmations I like to tell myself all the time. You keep pouring into yourself, so that will
You hit it,
become
Chaun.
your mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
absolutely
guys,
true.
sorry, just one thing to like summarize this whole feeling. It's like, you know, we can be our worst enemies
Yes.
and we can be our best cheerleaders. So
Yeah.
like, you know, like it's
Yes.
very and women are that way. We when we do well, we are like, yo, you know, we've done this. We're like our best cheerleaders, but we can beat ourselves down to the point that
Yes.
we start questioning everything. And I think getting out of that, to Sean's point and Brandy's point both, we have to inculcate that in us
Yep.
as quickly as possible, so that you know we don't get to that being the worst enemy phase that easily, you know. And it's good to critique ourselves, but let's not beat ourselves. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's important.
that is actually the perfect segue to my next question, which was for you, Snehee. Can planning for failure be healthy, or is it self-sabotage?
Okay, so by training, I'm a food safety scientist, so I do risk management as a career. So you know, I plan for as many unforeseen or foreseen situations we can think of, but it comes with experience. That I will tell you. So it all depends. You know, what is foreseeable, what is not foreseeable as a failure, but or a risk. However, I do think that planning to, you know, as an extension to what Brandy explained, you know, uh, having a plan B or a plan C or a plan D is not a bad idea. Having that cushion of finances or resources or for these wonderful girls, like, you know, let's say you wanted to get into Stanford and Stanford didn't work out, but okay, so why is that the only school we applied for? We should be applying for at least, you know, 15 schools if possible, looking for scholarships everywhere. So having plan A's, plan B's, plan C's is never a bad idea. That's the way I function. That's the way I run my company, myself, my personal life as well. I don't, but there is a part of me that wants to be. I wish I was a little bit more of on the spot doer. So that is where my team comes in, and they push it. They push me towards that. So I believe in my opinion, you know, there can be a very healthy combination of the two, where you take you plan for risk that you can handle. Like for example, the times we are in, the COVID-19. I don't think anyone could have planned for this. I don't think we all know what pandemics look like, but I don't think any one of our businesses was ever or if there were, kudos to them, I would love to learn from them, but I don't think any one of I was we were like aligned on, okay, if COVID-19 or a pandemic happens, this is what I'm going to do with my sales, or this is what I'm going to do with my business structure, or these are the people I'm going to keep on the team, and these are the people, unfortunately, of I will have to let go. I don't think any one of us planned for that. So you know, guys, this is a very real life situation we are in today. As to, even for the girls, what does it look like for them to getting into schools? What does it look like for them to practicing their professions or learning what they want to get into schools? Because if schools can no longer get students back into campuses, for example, medical schools or legal schools, or in my cases, we do everything in the laboratories when we are in school, so labs, then what is that going to look like for So I think asking those questions is part of planning for your future, as well as where could things go differently. So yes, I do think that we should look into that. We should ask those questions. We should keep an open mind. At the same time, being a little impromptu, being a little, I guess, risk taker is part of the whole journey. Because if everything is planned, and if plans go a little bit here and there, then where is the fun in not being able to take care of your situation or handle yourself with a little bit more calmness? Because if you're the kind of person who is always like, this is my risk, this is what I'm going to do, this is it, then and if something doesn't happen to that as per that plan, then how are you going to react? That also is part of the planning process, and it's very important. Everyone reacts differently. Surprisingly for me, I am someone who enjoys the planning process, but I also enjoy having a calm mind, but in my professional life only, not in my personal life, but in my professional life only. So yes, I do think that this is important, guys.
Perfect. And we have Mrs. Moore who has commented, we call it risk management and mitigation in engineering and
Yes.
business. So that is very true. And having a healthy dose of both, the impromptu with the planned, I think is, like you were saying, something that is truly valuable for us all. Um, and so Mrs. Moore also commented, think through potential obstacles and plan solutions to mitigate or overcome what you foresee.
Yeah.
Some things you just won't know. Those are
Yeah,
great
I
learning
love that.
opportunities.
The one thing I wanted
Completely.
to add to the last piece of
Yeah.
what Snehee said is that part of the planning too is also, I call it your emotional planning. And so knowing that in life, and
Yes.
this starts early on, is that there are going to be curveballs. She kind of alluded to COVID, but even, meetings don't go the way you expected. An interview doesn't go the way that you expected. You're en route to go from one class to another, and there's something that happened in the hallway or on the college campus, and it's just this adaptability and not letting those things throw us off completely. It's almost like absorbing a punch and then taking a deep breath because it hurts or it took us off course, and then being able to exhale again and move with it. Life is really about, in terms of failure, it's being able to swerve a little bit. It's being able to go with it. So
Yeah.
But
Very
you
much.
have to be rooted
yes,
in what it is
yes,
that
yes,
you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
yeah,
You have to see that picture. And if you
Yeah.
focus on that, no matter what comes your way, you are going to work through that obstacle because you are focused on what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. Have
Yeah.
that goal
What
very
is that
set
saying?
forward, and then any curveball that comes your way, you'll be able to handle it. And I love that Brandi brought up the emotional part, because it's very important. Like, and I think that, to Brandy's point, to that, have surrounding yourself with those folks, like you previously mentioned,
mhm,
Brandi, actually helps us handle those emotional curveballs very
yeah,
a little bit better, not very well, but a little bit better. Having that was someone to went out to, or someone to give you that very important piece of
mhm,
advice. It could be your mentor, your professor, your teachers, your confidants, your friends, your
mhm,
therapist, whoever that may look like.
mhm,
But yeah, have that. Try
yeah.
building that. It
I
will
see a
really help.
question, Nancy. I don't know, from Snehee. I didn't know if you wanted to address that one. Or,
Yeah. So Snehal is wondering how your failures contribute to building your
it is. It
confidence,
really is.
which is a great question.
I mean, I'll jump in.
You guys want to take that?
Sneha, I thought about this when, and this is going to sound, the way that it's helped me is it kind of goes back to a couple things. And Chaun just mentioned focus. but I would also say our internal knowing that we can do things. So let's just say when I have faced setbacks, the things didn't happen the way I wanted or in the time that I wanted. There was a process where I said, okay, what happened here? You know, what can I learn from this? Or what came good from this? You know, what came good from it? Maybe it was good timing that I didn't have it, but then moving forward, and there's been times in my life where, you know, I tried again and I'm able to accomplish it or do it again. But it's through that learning that I was able to do some self-reflection, but then also being able to move in a forward direction or move into a different direction that was just as good, if not better, build my confidence, because it said to me that my focus was still right. Maybe the time wasn't there, or the people or the resources weren't there. But just having, for me, it's that faith and confidence and knowing that I'm moving in the right direction, but things may not happen, or there may be a learning or a setback from it. And then that happening repeatedly to me throughout life. Either the timing's not right, or I need to go a different direction, but still moving toward it and seeing things unfold has helped build my confidence.
Yeah, so the goal doesn't change. The path may veer, but as long as you're
Yeah.
going in that direction.
Yeah,
And
and
knowing innately you've got it within you to be able to accomplish that goal,
totally.
however that may look.
And I always say that, guys, like, like failure, like, these wonderful ladies have defined it. It's very personal. There is no there is no it's a standard we've set up in our head, right? Like, this is what would success look for me, and this is what is failure going to look like for me. So, one of the key things that I have actually learned over time to build a little bit confidence into me taking decisions more smartly is the fact that my line of work has given me that discipline has given me confidence into evaluating how do I minimize my what works for me, what kind of, if things don't go my way, how much can what amount of it am I able to accept that, yeah, this is something I'm pretty sure that it could go wrong and I'm okay about it, and what is definitely a no go. For example, uh, like when I was in school, I was very clear that I did not like physics. I just knew it. I tried my level best. I could not like it. And so, and I'm an Indian. I come from a family of engineers and doctors and God knows, like anything possible and that's how it is in Indian families, right? So when I told my parents that, look, I don't want to be an engineer because I don't think I'm ready for that, because I don't think I like it also. Like, physics is a big part of being an engineer, and I don't enjoy it. So why can't I pursue something I enjoy? So although my parents were not excited about that whole confession that, physics is something I don't like, but they accepted it, and I accepted it internally, because to me, personally, the kind of person I am, it was not easy for me to accept that I did not like a subject, especially science. Like, science is my living and breathing. Literally, I do that. So how can I turn this into something that could be positive for me? Just because I don't know something doesn't mean that I don't need to be the best at everything. I just need to understand what I will learn from it and be okay about it. So if I don't get an A grade in physics, how okay am I about it? Will a B work for me? Will a C work for me? So those were those internal conflicts I had. And it sounds very silly right now when I'm 35 years old, like, what was the big deal about it? It was. It till date defines how do I overlook or how do I look at my own accomplishments or my own setbacks. And that mindset has helped me gain confidence in myself, that I know what I really want, I know what I really like, I know what I can accomplish, and what I don't know, how am I going to make it up? How am I going to uh, fulfill it? Like, can I hire someone? Can I get someone on my team to make my weaknesses become the strength that we have? Like, anything, let's get creative about it, collaborate, do whatever. But I did not, I accepted what I didn't like very early on. And I accepted my setbacks very early on. Maybe not in this manner. Maybe it was a little bit more. differently handled at that time by me by throwing tantrums, I guess, at that time. But yes, I did accept that. I think that would be a way that I built my confidence, that understanding what I don't like, what my weaknesses are, and accepting them and being aware about them.
Yeah, that's very important. So we have a question here from Jocelyn, and I think that this question is a great segue into the next question that I had for Chaun. And so maybe you can answer both of these. Do you sometimes struggle with accepting failure? And if so, how can you turn that into something positive? That is
Yes,
Jocelyn's question.
yes, I still struggle with accepting failure. But that's when it goes back to what Brandi said, having to separate the failure from who you are so that you can keep moving. And that's how you're able to turn it into something positive. You got to get behind yourself and then take it for what it is. Take it for the learning lessons and now start moving forward. So yes, I still do.
And just for the record, me too.
I
Like,
think we all do.
I'm still making mistakes.
Yeah, I think we all do. I don't think. I think the day you think that you've not, or the thing that, okay, you know what, it's I'm never going to fail. I think that is the biggest failure you have in your life. That except thinking that you're never going to make mistakes. Of course, you are. We're humans, and we
Yeah,
make decisions sometimes, many a times, that don't work in our favor. So, I mean, it's about how you handle it, and that, to her point, be kind to yourself. Like, yeah, you're going through a lot, even for these wonderful kids. Um, uh, they are trying to understand something that we as adults, and even I think my parents and even their generations, maybe generations even elder to them, are still trying to understand how do you accept failure. you know
yeah,
uh,
exactly. I think
uh,
it's something that's very human
yeah,
in all of
totally.
us.
Yeah,
And we're going to keep failing, and we're going to keep going. And we have Christina that has commented, if
Yeah,
you're
I
not
love that.
making mistakes, experiencing failures, that means you're not trying new things and you're not growing, which is absolutely
totally.
100%
Spot
correct.
on. Spot on.
And so
Yeah.
that's the perfect segue to the question that I had for Chaun.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a time, and I know you've given us examples already, but one time where a failure was a success in disguise? So maybe it didn't feel like it was a success while you were in that moment, but just an example of how it turned around and you saw it as a success.
So I'll bring it to date kind of with work right now. My background is actually in nutrition dietetics. So I have worked in the school system for a very, very long time as the director of child nutrition programs. And during that time is where my speaking was really being put out there. And so for the longest, I've always wanted to start my own business, and but just was always too scared because there is that doubt. Oh, I'm too scared. I'm going to fail. It's not going to work out. So I have stayed where I was. I eventually ended up in a very, very cushy job where I got to work from home. And when I tell you, it was so cushy, I wasn't even thinking about stepping out on my own or anything. It is just that. But I just got complacent and there was not anything there. So my sister brings along this new opportunity for me to try out with a new company. I left my cushy job and went to a job that was super stressful. The people made it stressful. The job was stressful. And I was like, okay, this definitely was not the best decision for me. So all I could do was think about how, what can I do to really make this better for myself? Even though this job was really impacting other people, but it was very stressful for me, and that's something that I wasn't really wanting. It's what actually helped to push me out and start my own career. Even though I did not want to make that decision to leave, I just had to for my health, my sanity, that kind of thing. And where I saw that as a failure, I didn't really achieve what I wanted to with that company, it also catapulted me into my business that is now flourishing, and I'm impacting more people than I can ever imagine because of what I'm doing now. So I feel that even though this was a great job, money was great. Sometimes money is not always the best thing, but the money was great. But it also helped me to realize you can do what you have been scared to do. And so this job was actually put in place to actually push you out there to go get that done. And so that was a failure for me, but it actually catapulted me into my success, and I'm very grateful for that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that happens so many times where we keep ourselves in a certain place that maybe is not the best for us, or maybe seen as a failure,
I
just
agree.
because we're
I
a
think
little afraid
sometimes
of going a little above and
we
beyond
push
into
into our next
that new
purpose
territory because it's
through
scary, but
failure, through
in
feeling stuck,
actuality,
or through
maybe where your
setbacks.
success lies.
And I think over time, what I would say, the audience again is like, is failure a plan or so forth. I really think it's how we look at it. I can think, I'm thinking Chaun reminded me in my last job, I worked at a large company, and I had a nice cushy job, but I got to the tail end of my career there and I felt very stuck, and I felt like I wasn't doing everything that I could be doing. And the money was good, but it was a very painful, and I just spun, and it felt like I kept hitting a brick wall. But that season, if you will, pushed me into saying, okay, Brandi, what else? What else? How can you do something else that allows you to live your purpose, or do more with the skills or the gifts that you're given, right? And so then that pushed me. I don't know if I would have made the leap to go in and come and take over my family business, because I was also, sometimes you can feel so comfortable, but it's sometimes when things get hot, or you get uncomfortable, or you face failure, or you face setback, that's what pushes you into your next level of purpose. And it's really hard. I would go to see that sometimes when you're in it. And so it starts to take a muscle, and you just a confidence that says, okay, either what am I going to learn from this, or what is this compelling me to go do? And so that's something that I've learned over time, and it's not it's uncomfortable now, but you start to realize that this pain, or this failure, or this setback, or this feeling stuck can be there for a reason.
Yeah, I think we get tested more, and we know our true potential only when we are out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to both their points, that's precisely like get pushed. Sometimes if you're stuck, just having that extra trigger or nudge to get out of that situation is what is needed. For me, that was my medical situation. I had that, and I'm glad I had that. I would not be standing here or sitting here with these wonderful ladies having this discussion with this beautiful panel had I not been sick 5 years ago, and had I not started my own company, had I not launched my products with the thought I had in mind. And yeah, I think that's you need that extra trigger sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, which actually goes right into the question that I had for you, Snehee. How has failure helped in your career? And I think you might have already answered it, but if you could just talk to us a little bit more about that. How has this failure, or any failure, really helped to further you in your career and for you as a person within your personal development?
Um, a little pretext to myself. I'm a very aggressive person when it comes to my career, and I have battled this internally a lot. And it is not something I'm very proud about. Let me explain to you why. It's good to be it's good to be passionate. It's good to be very career focused, and you want to get to a level, right? Like if I see that, okay, this is it in an organization, this is the best that I'm going to get out of it. I've already learned everything, which is again a big problem, by the way. It is never true. You can never learn everything. But for me, in the role that I was given, I knew that I was not going to get anything more out of it just because of the way the politics of the situation were, or whatever it may be. I would push myself to get to the next. best or the next step for myself in the ladder. So I'm a very aggressive person in my professional life, and it takes a toll on you. You don't realize it emotionally as you keep growing older. It takes physically a toll on you. I to the point that there was a time that I used to wake up at 4, work out, get my juices running, work out till like maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, and then get to work by 7, work till like 7 in the evening, come back home, and then have spend time with my family, and then again get back to the same regime. Now, when the one thing that you take for granted the most, that is your health, gets taken away from you, life gets into perspective, and that's what happened for me. At the age of 30, I had a heavy setback in my personal health, where I went from being 100% independent to 100% dependent in a matter of 12 hours, and I didn't know what happened with me. So number one, I don't physically my body took a toll, but emotionally, for 3 months, no one could tell me what was wrong with me, which caused me to have emotional turmoil within myself. Is what's really wrong with me? And if you are a very career-minded, career-focused, professionally and personally, also a very go-getter kind of a person, that anxiety actually hits you a lot. And not having answers is the biggest problem actually at that point. So once I understood what had happened to me, the second thing was acceptance. Accepting that I can no longer go to being what I used to, and that took me a year. It was not easy, and and a part of that was also the treatment I underwent was very slow because there was no medicine that could cure what I have. So it was more about like how do I nutritionally with food and everything take care of myself with, and lot of in a nutshell, I had to pick and choose what would work for me. So I think that setback when I realized that my health is the thing that I took granted, that I could do whatever I want. I could work. I could sleep only for 5 hours a night, and it would be okay. And taking everything for granted personally, I think that to me was my biggest mistake. Sorry for using this word, but stupidity, and be something a very very unwise decision I made in my 20s, and I will advise every one of you to never ever do that. Uh, know who you are, work hard, but never take your health for granted, because once that goes away, you really are left with nothing. Everything gets into perspective about life. So for me, that emotion is how I started my company. So everything that I started in my company was because of that setback I had. I put in the rules of how, or the policies or everything of how I work with my team, how the team is going to function, how are they going to do things, keeping in mind that health, number one, is the most important thing. Uh, there is a saying, health is the biggest wealth, and that is very true. So that to me was the first learning. So I converted that setback I had as a living example for my team. Number two, I would say that every experience I've had in my career, starting from being in undergrad, grad, even during my school days and everything, I think is defining us, right, in different ways. Who are our friends? Who are the guys we hang out with? What do I do for recreation? What do I do to keep my career going? Who do I get my mentorship from? Who do I learn to get up in my career? Everything defines me. So also my failures will define me, or my setbacks will define me. So all those small instances where things didn't go the way I wanted. For example, when I was in Nestle, I was in charge of um, running the entire food safety program for $100 billion company, from one situation that Nestle had a $50 million recall due to a metal contamination in pizzas in Europe. So for 36 factories, I was revamping the entire food safety program globally. So how and when things didn't go the way I wanted them to do things, how do I channelize that energy and make them see perspective and ultimately understand that the decision is not mine but theirs to accept it or not. And that is a challenge that I deal with every day, but I accept it also. I think these few things, uh, you, there's a saying, right? You can lead the horse to the well, but you cannot make him drink water. You need to understand that, like, these few sayings have a lot of depth behind them, and I think over time, with experience, you will understand um, how to channelize all the learnings you've had in your life into living your dream. I think that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, that definitely. So we're close to the hour here, and I want to, or we're at the hour here, and I want to respect everyone's time. So I've got two more questions before we wrap up, and if any of our
Yeah,
guests have
I'm
any
realizing we're at
questions, now
time
would
too,
be
and
the
so I'm going to
time.
answer
So
that
make sure to
briefly. My
submit them.
answer is yes, and it
Brandi, as a
depends. So, is
leader,
it possible to lead
is it
others through
possible to
failure?
lead
I think
others
yes, and it
through
depends.
failure?
Okay, and so my yes is I think is as a leader, if you're clear on a vision, if you articulate things, and you have people on board, who believe in that and who can rally around it, then it's awesome to say, hey, we didn't win here, or this didn't go well. What did we learn from it? What other ways can we go? And it can be a collective effort that then builds confidence for what the team does in the future. The it depends piece means with a team of any kind, you have to have the right people on board, and people also, we've been talking about mindset, people on your team have to have the right mindset. So if I have a team of naysayers or people who just do not believe in overcoming failures, and they go into this spiral themselves of like, we will never get out of it. There's only so much you could do as an individual or a leader. So that's my abbreviated response to yes, and it depends.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And for
Yes.
our guests here who are in high school, that may apply when it comes to any group activities in school. So if you have group projects, choose your partners wisely if you can. Um, and on the other end, if you can't, then know that there is only so much that you can do to kind of guide others through failure. So great answer, Brandi. So the final question that we have, and this is for all of you. So we'll start with Chaun if we haven't lost her. Chaun, you're still with us?
I am.
Okay, awesome. Why should failure be an option?
Failure should absolutely be an option because I don't believe we achieve success if we don't
I
actually
pulled
go
a
through
quote
failure,
for this one,
which
and
is
I think
why
it's
my
kind of
favorite thing to say is
it's
failure
from
is an
Johnny
option.
Cash. I don't know if a lot of folks on here know Johnny Cash, but neither here nor there. The quote says,
Brandi?
"You build on failure. You use it as a stepping stone. Close the door on the past, and you don't try to forget the mistakes, but you don't dwell on it
Google
either.
him if
You
you
don't let it
don't.
have your energy. You don't let it have your time, and you don't let it have your space. But the thing that I would say is that you can move forward from it, and you can build on it."
Snehee?
I think you will never enjoy success until you fail. So you need to fail to actually enjoy your success. Otherwise, life is blah. So you have to fail to truly feel what a success feels like.
I love it.
You guys left us with a lot to think about and to take in. I think, do we
Love
have
it.
one question here? Oh, we have a
Love
comment.
it. Yes.
Failure develops character and fortitude for the next level in your life. At every mountaintop, there is a valley. Keep climbing. Absolutely. What a beautiful way to wrap up.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. I hope that you definitely found something to learn and to help guide you in these next phases of life for you, especially as you develop as leaders. Definitely powerful women on this panel. I appreciate you and your time. And for you ladies that are continuing on the rest of the summit, hope you enjoy the rest of it. There's plenty of more content and plenty of more interviews and workshops that you will learn from. I hope that you find not just one piece of good information here,
Take
but
care.
many.
Bye.
So enjoy it, and
Thank you.
we will see you at
The
the end of
best.
it. Again, thank you very much, ladies, for joining us, and you guys have a wonderful Saturday.
Totally our pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, girls. Bye.